Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the show. It is Friday, March 8th. I know all of you are happy as I am. Heading into the weekend is what we want, right? The day you wake up and you go, it's Friday. Go tell your employer, look, I'll give a little effort today. I'm not going to do much. Not going to do too much. It's Friday. Let's take it easy, right? Just have my coffee. And I'm realizing now that I need 2 cups of coffee in the morning, which was a little bit concerning. Talk about that later. But we got a lot to talk about today. A lot of NFL changes. That I think a lot of people are going to see and go, wow. We got Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul. We have people that are claiming they have frostbite, that are getting amputations, that were the Chiefs' playoff game against the Dolphins. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. So, again, good morning to everybody on here. If you're in here, good morning, good morning, good morning. Teresa, Tracy, Brenda, Howard, Brittany, good morning, everybody that's waking up this morning. And, it's so nice to wake up and see everybody in here talking. It's like, it's a blessing because maybe you don't have to make that phone call today because we can get on here right now. We can talk personal right here. Whatever you got to say, put it in the chat. I look forward to talking to you today as we move forward. So, look, let's get right into it. Chiefs fans may require amputations. Like, listen, you watch the game. The Dolphins played the Chiefs. It was a record low temperature. They said it felt like it was like negative 20 or something like that. We got fans that were out there bundled up. But, I mean, look. Patrick Mahomes is walking around just breathing pure smoke, right? Tua breathing pure smoke. I mean, this was kind of concerning, right, for a lot of people. But here's what I'll say. This is how bundled up you had to be. You had to show up at the stadium wearing coats, long johns. If you're not familiar with that, you live in the South. I live in Florida now. I grew up north. Long johns, that tight kind of knit material you put on underneath your clothes so you can feel warm. They had all kinds of layers, jackets, blankets, scarves, wool. I mean, look at the hoods and everything like that. But here's the thing. There are several fans that were at the game with these temperatures that had to get rushed to the hospital. Why? Because they couldn't feel their limbs. They couldn't feel fingers. They couldn't feel toes. They couldn't feel parts of their face. This is frostbite. I'm not sure if you know what that is. You live in the South, you have no idea. It's when you get so cold, your body freezes at a certain point where you can no longer get that feeling back. It goes numb. And pieces of your, limbs can start to die off, right? Or even turn colors, turn black, brown. But there are fans that are at the hospital and the doctors are saying, look, due to that, you're going to have amputations. Now, if you watched the game, you saw how cold it was. We even had a picture behind here, Howard. I believe his helmet was cracked. There it is. That is the picture that everybody will remember with Patrick Mahomes running the ball and helmet-to-helmet contact and his helmet cracking due to how cold it was, right? So it was that cold where pieces of your helmet are cracking off, busting off, and, he can live and fight another day. And the helmet company said, hey, look, it did its job. It did its job. He was fine. He was protected. He was, healthy when he left the game. That's true. But these fans that were sitting there, that were freezing, these are some loyal fans, right? We knew this going into it, like, hey, maybe they should reschedule. A lot of other teams, a lot of other games were like, hey, we should reschedule ours, and some of them did. Like, we're going to cancel this game, move it to another day, maybe a little warmer, or let's move it inside or another location where the fans could come in and do fine. But listen, I'm not saying it was a bad idea to have a game. I'm just saying they literally got frostbite, and some of them are leaving, going to the hospital and going, I still can't feel my finger. I still can't feel my toes. And now they're getting amputations, right? Like literally, I pulled it up on the screen. I was reading it last night and I was reading it this morning. I'm going, can you imagine you take your family to a football game? First of all, you got to be one hell of a fan. I'm just saying that. You got to be one hell of a fan to go to a game. You bring your kids, your wife, whatever, your family, and it's that cold to where you're like, okay, I can't feel my fingers. Sometimes that's normal in the North. If you grew up like me and you went snowboarding, right, skiing, you're laying in the snow for X amount of time, you're like, oh, my fingers are numb. But when the feeling doesn't come back at all, like you get inside, you got your hot chocolate, you got your coffee, you're thawing out, the rest of your body's back, but your finger still doesn't come back, and it's been days and your finger's not coming back. I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's like, look, you got frostbite. What happens then? You go to the doctors, and now they're sitting there going, there's multiple people. I don't even know how many people. They said it was 5, then it was 10, then it was 50. Numerous of people are claiming that they have frostbite from the game, and the doctor saying, unfortunately, that piece of your body, that limb, that finger, that toe has to be amputated. And I'm just saying, not sure if you heard about that. I think that is pretty concerning. I think obviously the NFL will get involved, but as you see this lady here, bundled up, people still left that have to have surgery and have the amputation. So let's move forward now to the Browns. They look to replace Deshaun Watson. Now listen, Deshaun Watson is getting tons of money, guaranteed money, and people are like, oh, he had some issues off the field. That happens, right? Then he has some injuries. That happens. But all that guaranteed money, this is what I'm saying. If you're the Cleveland Browns, if you're a fan of the Cleveland Browns, you're watching the NFL, you're like, look, you made a horrible decision. If you're going to, I don't care what happens to Deshaun Watson, his ass is going to be on the field. If I'm the owner, I'm a head coach, I'm a GM there, and I'm making these decisions, and we're paying Deshaun Watson over $200 million guaranteed money, he's going to be on the field this year. I don't care who's coming out. I don't care what player can be drafted. I don't care if you can get Justin Fields. I don't care if you can get Russell Wilson. I don't care if you can get the best veteran. I don't care if Tom Brady wants to come back to the NFL himself. If I'm the Cleveland Browns and I paid you $200 million, if you can still walk and you can still throw and you're healthy to move around the field, you're playing. Because I'm showing the fans I made a decision and I'm living with it. I'm sticking with it. And I'm praying to God that Deshaun goes out there and he wins football games. He played well. I'm not knocking his ability. He's got ability. But if you start looking for another, player, hey, I'm going to make a move, I'm going to trade, that's the wrong thing to do. A, you're going to lose a lot of fans. B, there's going to be a lot of people fired, right? The owner's going to say, who the hell wanted this? If it wasn't him directly and it was a head coach, a GM, or whatever it was in the organization, somebody's going bye-bye. Somebody's leaving because we don't pay somebody over $200 million. They take a couple snaps, right? And then it's like, we're looking to trade Deshaun Watson. No one is going to make up for that contract. It's a horrible idea. He's still gifted. He's talented. Maybe Joe Flacco will come back and he'll play and extend his contract there. But at the end of the day, even though I like Joe Flacco, played with Joe Flacco at school, was at school at Pitt, transferred to Delaware. He's a great player. He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Shows up now, was pretty damn good. Was okay with the Jets, didn't play that much. But then last year with the Browns, he stunned a lot of people. You bring in Joe Flacco, put him as a backup. You start Deshaun Watson and pray that Deshaun Watson has a good season. If he goes and they trade him, they lose a bunch of money, people are going to go, the Cleveland Browns are the dumbest team in National Football League. And I mean that just because of what they're deciding, not because I actually talking about the people, but just in general, you can't make a move like that. You got to live and die with the sword. Put the guy in the game, see what he does this year. Do not try to trade Deshaun Watson. So, did Tom Brady retire at the right time? Right? Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. We know that. Everyone loved him, whatever team he played on. But here's what I got to say. A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of players in the National Football League, they get to the NFL, they have good careers, and then some things go down as they start to leave the game. Hey, I'm getting a little older, getting a little slower, whatever the case may be. And they still find to go to another team, like Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, like Brett Favre to the Jets. Like other players transfer out to go other places. When Tom Brady left and went to the Bucs, I was like, no, he should retire with the Patriots. I think a lot of people in their mind thought retire with the Patriots because he had such a great career at first, right? It's like, man, the best of all time, the GOAT, all the accolades, the MVP, the guy that most people in the National Football League love. If you're not a fan of Tom Brady, you probably don't like football, right? The guy played great. Can't hate on him. They had the deflate gate, all that kind of thing, letting air out of footballs and yada, yada, yada. And then Darrelle Revis, who actually I went to school with, as well as on my team. We're going to have him on the show. I'm going to reach out to him, see if I can get him on and talk sports. But at the end of the day, even he said Tom Brady was crying when he got up there and said, it wasn't me. I didn't do this with the deflate gate whole thing. So he's had his career ups and downs, right? But was phenomenal as a player. Some off the field stuff, relationship stuff, that pops in the media. But the question is, did he retire at the right time, right? He won Super Bowls with the Patriots, was unbelievable. I mean, literally unbelievable. And then, I believe there's a picture behind here too, Howard. We have a picture with him and Bill Belichick, I believe, behind here. This is what you're going to remember, right, of Tom Brady. This is what I remember of Tom Brady. Whether he played for the Patriots and went to the Bucs, we'll get to that in a second. He played there. It was like, okay, if you're going to leave the game, leave the game. You're the best quarterback to ever play football, right? With one of the best coaches, quote unquote, or the best tandem to play football. And you're like, did he retire at the right time? And it's like, boom, wins another Super Bowl with Gronkowski by his side. It's like, He didn't have to retire. He went down there and proved that he is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. Once he got down there and he won another Super Bowl, it was like, he's the best. Like, at that point, you can't argue that conversation because he left his program with all his fans, support cast, the neighborhood he lived in, felt comfortable waking up, eating breakfast at your household, getting to Gillette Stadium, where you played all those years. You got your coach Belichick there in your corner too, all these people, and you found receivers at like Walmart, like a random guy, like, hey, you're good at football, bring in, throw some passes, like literally making that team great because of how great he was and how gifted he was. It was like, retire there. Nope, not Tom Brady. Gets to the Bucs, gets there and blows out the water again and wins another Super Bowl. It's like, okay, this guy's the man. He's the best. And then he goes, you know what? After last season, he goes, we did okay. We didn't get what we want to get. I'm done. I'm packing. I'm retiring. I'm going to go become an announcer and do what I do. I think it was the best thing he's done. I think Tom Brady was so damn smart in how he did it. He was so smart in how he walked away from the game. It was a gifted way of walking away. He didn't have any problems anywhere. Some relationship stuff, divorce going on, obviously, with Giselle and all that. But at the end of the day, he did the right thing. He retired at the right time. He came back and gave that last hurrah. The GOAT will go down the best to ever play the game. I think Patrick Mahomes is the only one that's chasing him. Pretty damn close, but Tom Brady's still the GOAT. We'll see how Patrick Mahomes fares out. So we got the next conversation, which I pulled up real quickly by accident here. But does the NFL help with racism? Does the NFL bring anything to the table? And why this is important is I want people to understand something. Every day, there's a lot of politics, obviously, going on in the NFL, and obviously with Kaepernick kneeling on the field, and then you have other people doing some things, and then you got Taylor Swift, we talked about, announcing who she's voting for and all kinds of things in the NFL. But number one is, does the NFL help with racism? Here's what I will tell you. I'm not talking about the NFL directly. I'm not talking about the National Football League reaching out and doing something. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the sport in general. If you watch football, you got whites, you got blacks, you got Spanish, you got Samoans. When you show up in your high school, when you grow up, you might live in an all-white neighborhood. You might live in an all-black neighborhood. You might live in where that culture is just Spanish, or you might, wherever you live, that might be that. When you get to college football, you are circled around the best of the best, right? At that level. And then to the NFL, the elite of the elite. And you got to learn to play with people regardless. White, black, Spanish, so it brings you together. Everybody saw, remember the Titans, the movie? It's great. It's real. These guys have their own problems and issues. I think that was a little harsh back in the day. But as I get to the point, these guys come and play together, right? Whether you're whatever color you are, race doesn't matter at that point, because as a running back, if you don't like your offensive line, you're not running anywhere. I said that before, right? If you're a quarterback, if you're Tom Brady and you have something against the race blocking for you, you're not going to do that good this season. It brings people together. It brings coaches together. I think it's important for people to understand that. Even like the Olympics, all these world and countries, they all come together for sports. It's so important that people understand that, right? Like, you come together, you're forced to become brothers in the locker room or sisters in other sports. I'm not forgetting about women's sports either. I'm just saying, I think the NFL does a great job outside of the organization. I'm just saying the people coming together, working together, playing, learning, failing, winning, everything together as a whole. And I think it's so important that people understand that, how much sports gives that to you, because we talk about NFL all the time on our platform. I wanted to bring that up. I think the NFL does a pretty good job. I think other people stir in the political events, trying to make it about something that really doesn't have to be. But at the end of the day, I think the NFL does a good job from a standpoint of bringing people together and working together. And I think it's important that people recognize that and move forward with a lot of the BS that happens out there today. But moving on to another topic that people might have saw yesterday, or maybe you didn't see, Jake Paul is scheduled to fight Mike Tyson. Now, this is a part of the conversation that I think that we should talk about, because if you haven't noticed, Jake Paul is doing his thing, obviously, and I bring him up, and a lot of people knock him and hate on him, and I kind of show him love and support, because I think the guy gets out there and he knocks down walls and he fights through adversity, and people that are hating on him, and goes, good, hate on me. The more clicks I get, the more money I'm making to keep on building. But now he's fighting Mike Tyson. This is a chance of a lifetime to fight a guy who obviously would not even belong in the ring with this kind of guy. But Mike Tyson is almost 60 years old. He's like 57, literally 57 years old. I mean, Mike Tyson is going to show up in the ring in the best shape of his ability, right? We saw him fight Roy Jones, a bunch of older guys in the ring, throwing. It's not like Mike Tyson's out there shredded, looking like a guy who's throwing these punches like he did, from 20 years ago. This guy's 57 years old, and then Jake Paul's like, "Want me to fight a boxer? I'll fight a boxer." It's like, come on, nah. I mean, I get it. If I'm Jake Paul, this is great. This is amazing. You're on stage with one of the toughest, baddest guys on the planet from years ago. The guy, they said it was like when Mike Tyson throws a punch, they said it was like putting a pillow to your face and someone just takes a bat and just bam. That's what people are saying. Now, I didn't fight Mike Tyson. I didn't get in the ring with Mike Tyson, but that comparison does not sound like a good idea, right? So all I'm saying is Jake Paul is putting together a collective amount of fights. He's talking about fighting in the MMA, UFC world. He's calling out everybody, and people are like, "Oh, he's not fighting real boxers." Jake Paul's calling out everybody. He's like, "I'll fight whoever. Like, just bring me anybody in my weight class, and we can fight." And people are like, "Oh, you're not fighting real boxers." He's calling everybody out, including Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson steps up to the plate and goes, "I'll take the fight." Why? Because he's getting big time money, right? Like, this fight is going to be historical because Jake Paul, former YouTuber, I think the YouTuber thing is kind of fading out. Like, YouTube is fading out because Jake Paul's been fighting. He's 9-1. He lost one fight, who arguably to Fury. I don't even think that was really considered a loss. And I'm just saying, he's doing this thing. And now another fight pops up. He's consistently fighting. He's not sitting back at his house and being like, "Oh, I'll fight once a year, or I'll fight every other year." Or he's like, "Okay, fight down, schedule again. Fight down, schedule again." And he's using his most valuable promotions, right? Another company that he launched to start scheduling these fights. So he's making money fighting. He's making money on social media. He's making money with the most valuable, productions, what he's built for that. He's got Better, a sports betting app. I mean, I always do this, and I talk about this because it keeps popping up. And here's another fight that he's got now, and people are like, "Whoa, Jake Paul's fighting another guy again." It's like, yeah, and he's fighting Mike Tyson. He's not fighting, Joe Schmo. He's fighting Mike Tyson, 57 years old. Let that be clear. 57 years old. I'm not really sure that people will even be on his side anyway. If Jake Paul wins this fight, it's not like people are going to go, "Yeah, now Jake Paul's ready for the big leagues." No, Jake Paul is fighting 57-year-old Mike Tyson. So if he knocks Mike Tyson out in the first round, all he's going to do is go, "Give me another opportunity," right? So he's going to have to do something like that. That's a little bit wild, outlandish. It's going to be people are going to watch this fight. And that's number one. Pay-per-view, right? Like, Showtime said, "We're not taking fights anymore," which I thought that was crazy. Showtime was one of the best. And God forbid you post a video from Showtime. If you get a clip for YouTube from Showtime and you upload it on any social media platform, they're going to flag that thing. I'm talking 5 seconds. Flagged, remove it. We don't want you to have that there. It's like I'm literally giving credit to you, and I'm talking about what you produce, and I'm saying, "Hey, look at this fight." But they don't even like you to do that. So the new network, DAZN, whatever, DAZN Productions, is going to all this, and the host of most valuable promotions or productions or whatever is going to show this fight. And I'm just saying, if you watch this, will Jake Paul gain anything from this, right? Like, will Jake Paul actually gain respect from anybody? And that's a big question right now, because if he's taking the fight just to fight Mike Tyson in a big payday, that's great. But what will happen if he wins that fight? Will someone finally step up and go, "Hey, I'll fight Jake Paul. You're getting paid a lot of money. Why would you not fight Jake Paul?" So that's where I'm at right now with that whole situation. He's fighting at 200 pounds or something like that. So at this point, where he'll fight Mike Tyson is going to be interesting, right? The weight class, how he comes prepared. I think this is a fight he has to really work for, because even though Mike is 57 years old, Iron Mike's going to come ready to be swinging. So I think it's interesting. Make sure you watch that fight. I think you guys will enjoy it, but I'm not sure Jake Paul is going to benefit in a good way, even if he beats Mike Tyson. Well, let's move on to the quote of the day. And what do we got? As you know, I bring it to you every single day at the end of our program. Don't be afraid to give up on the good to go for the great. What does that mean? Anything you're doing right now, it's like, look, you're building something right now. You're enjoying life right now. Life is good. You're kind of happy, but maybe you're a little stagnant, right? Like, don't be scared to give up on that really good thing that you kind of think is good for something that's going to be great, because that great thing probably makes you happy. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about your lifestyle. I'm talking about how you wake up. Where do you go? Do you go to an office? Do you work from home? Do you spend time with your family? Do you have that extra time to go to your kids' football and baseball games? But really, and the main thing I'll read it again to you is, don't be afraid to give up on the good, to go for something great. John D. Rockefeller said this. And the reason why I think this is important is because a lot of us, including myself, are like, you got a good thing going, right? Life is good. Life is good. Is it great? Well, it's good right now. Good is fine. Hell of a lot better than bad, right? Good sounds like you're on the up, like you're not in the red, like you're on the green, like good job. Probably looking at like a B plus, right? Things are going good. And I'm not just saying, let's get to the A grade so you could become successful financially. I'm saying, so your lifestyle's better. You wake up and kind of do what you want. Even if you stay at that same financial level, you just feel happy, feel content, and you feel excited about what you're doing. I think that's important. So don't be afraid to give up on something good if you're slowly building something that you love and you're passionate for. That's really important. I hope all of you take that into consideration today as we move forward. And I appreciate all of you jumping on the live here as we get ready to start our PR. Next week, we have some celebrities coming on the show. We have some fighters coming on the show. And we also have a live giveaway again we're going to do for people. So I appreciate all of you jumping on here and communicating in the chat. Thank you to everybody that's jumping in and out, watching the live. I do have some things I will explain next week also with some networks, people out in Texas, people in New York, people in Connecticut, and a company in Florida has reached out to us as well to jump on their platform again. And we have some live guests. I will also be on other people's platforms and shows next week as well, hosting later in the evening. You guys can feel free to check out. But like I always tell you, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Friday, and sit back and relax. Nothing's too fast. A lot of people are rushing places. Don't rush. Take your time. If you're late, you're late. Don't rush late, be late, and get a ticket on top of that. That's the worst thing you could do, right? Like, I'm rushing to get there, I'm late, and then you get a ticket on top of being late. Just take your time. Get up a little earlier, be on time. If you're late, you're late. But enjoy your life. Enjoy your weekend. I look forward to seeing all of you on Monday at 10 a.m. live. And get ready next week. We have guests, we got celebrities, and we have a lot of live interview action and some live giveaways. I will see you guys first thing, 10 o'clock on Monday, Eastern Standard Time. Until next time.